this is not your favorite influencer's channel. I have made notes about what I am going to be saying here very soon, just to make sure that I can keep it on track, because there have been a lot of events, and by that I mean over the last 5 years or so, and longer, if you want to really get into it, which I'm not going to get into that side. This also means probably a handful at least of jump cuts, because I am taking this all in one take, but in some other videos you might notice that sometimes I just have to take a pause, and I do edit out the exceptionally long pauses. For a very long time, I have been preached at that, quote unquote, it takes a village. Community is everything. And I bought it at first, because why wouldn't I? That sounds amazing. It may take a village, but lack of villagers is why shit is not getting done. There are many, many people who are so offended that I would also say that, because stuff in their village is getting done. Things are fine in their circle of things. They feel like their village is a community. There's nothing outside of that could ever hold a candle to... If that offends you, you are not a fucking villager. You are not some kind of open-minded progressive socialist if your utopia only includes people that you like. Human rights are universal. And I have had so many people tell me that, and agree with that supposedly wholeheartedly, but then turn around and make it clear through words and otherwise that because they are in the good group, they can punish whoever they please. I have said in videos before that I grew up in a religious cult, and most of the time I avoid saying the word Christian, because that tends to bring people out of the woodwork who are already wearing the red glasses. They can't see the entire context of what I'm talking about. Or people think of someone that they really, really like, and they cannot imagine criticizing them. Like many people say, if he's not nice to the waiter, then he's not nice to you. But people will eat that up and say those are two completely separate things if it serves their purpose. Using the word, not in an exclusively Christian context, but telling people that their behavior is very much like other group over here that they don't like and they can see has a bad behavior. I have had so many people tell me that I'm just being weird and they don't know what I'm talking about, because if they're not Christian, then they cannot be participating in the bad behavior. Even if they acknowledge and they agree with me, this group over here, when they do that, that's a bad thing. Just swap the labels out and suddenly the contents become fine. Somehow. About 5 years ago now, I was told directly, no, I should never punch Nazis, because then some of them might double down, and some of them might not ever, like some of them might recover from that and be better people, but if you punch them, you might be contributing to them being a bad person. This was directly from someone who obviously, overtly, by all appearances and slogans and associations, identified as punk. Also claimed to be LGBT, in case you're wondering. Yeah, there are plenty of that type of person who identify as punk, but the cross-section was not making sense. But they said all of the right words, they wore all of the right things, they were liked by all of the right people. So if they said something to me that didn't mesh with that, it must be my problem and I'm making something up. I have, for such a long time, told to be a villager, which I agree with, but it comes so much from people who are so fucking offended to be told to be a villager. I have been accused of so much. People claiming that I am hiding resources, that my labels, my intersectional privilege, means that I could be doing so much more and I don't actually have the needs that I do. There's this little thing called reactive abuse. And it's not a perfectly clear-cut thing because there's many ways to approach it, address it, and maybe resolve it. But the basics are these. Someone is abused in private, out of sight from people who might actually say something. Therefore, it doesn't exist to them. It does not enter their mind. They don't pick up on it, which obviously, if it's not on your radar, somehow, whatever that's calculated as, you just don't pick up on it. But that abuser keeps doing it, and it might not be 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 big, important things, but they keep going because it's in private, or at least the people who notice are not going to say anything. They are the right kind of people they can do things in front of. And it keeps going and going and going and going, and it's still private enough where it's not actually happening. This also usually isolates the target from the people who could have said something, and the community just breaks down, takes care of everybody else, thinks they're taking care of the target, but there is a whole lot more that's happening that people are either not noticing in the first place or turning away from. There is also plenty of overlap of gaslighting is a word that's thrown around. It does not simply mean telling someone no or that they are wrong. It is making someone question their sanity and reality by persistently bombarding them with things like, I never said that, or it's not actually that bad. And so eventually, the target defends themselves in some kind of very visible way. And that is when so many people turn to look. And because they have not been able to let people know, or at least let people who care know, that something has been going on, that is apparently the first time something has happened. That's when people start paying attention, and that, obviously, because they've only started perceiving it, that is obviously the beginning of everything. The visible thing is obviously the instigation, because as we all know, abusers always tell the whole story. They always tell you the parts that make them look bad too. There is no possible way that the person who's been so quiet and nice to you was ever doing anything first that was adding to the big box that exploded. There is no possible way that the person who just acted out in some horrible way is acting out in proportion to what's been going on. This is my visibility. And no, I'm not going to put gory details online. If you're offended by this, you might be part of it, or you like someone who was, and is. If you have been wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I do invite you to ask about things if you would like to know. I'm not going to be sharing everything. As in, the extent of things. But if you are local, if you actually know me, sure. But that's not the point of this video. You might notice I have not been saying names. And so if you take to the comments or somewhere else and name your own names, you are the one who wants attention rather than me. Small minds discuss people. The bigger minds discuss the point of the thing. I was raised in a religious cult. I escaped that cult, which might be a story I tell someday. But then I started realizing, oh, there are all of these, so many micro cults that I am seeing, and it's really concerning. So people who presented themselves as having the same values that I do, I pointed some things out to them. And then I realized I was being really naive because either these people know or they don't want to ponder over it because that might mean fixing things. I don't have a church, obviously. I don't have a temple, even though there are some within traveling distance. I also don't have a coven. And this is pretty routinely held against me as to why everything is obviously my fault all of the time. People don't want to hear that it's so easy to worship the group that you are already in. I am leaving the village that you think I should be in because there are so few people who are actually villagers. You watched me and many others actually try to do our work and act on our values, and then said you would get to yours later, or you would get to half of them because I just don't understand how your list is different. I have spent almost a full decade in a purgatory paying for the sin of not being just like everybody else. Even all of those self-proclaimed punks and open-minded, and a big part of why I am considered disabled is when someone says they value honesty, at least up until very recently, I would assume that they were telling the truth. Ironically, when someone says they're going to do something, unless they have a memory lapse, I assume that they intend to do it. When someone talks about how it takes a village and we all need to take care of each other, I assume people mean that. This is my visibility. And I have already been told, very recently and over years and years and years, that I deserve whatever treatment I get because I am the instigator, despite that being the part where people start paying attention. This channel is not a happy-go-lucky ray of sunshine. I am not a dancing monkey. I am not a performer. I am not an influencer in the traditional sense. If you've stuck with me so far and you would like to pay me for opening something and telling people what I really think about it, I am probably not going to have very many super corporate sponsorships in anywhere near future. And if you're trying to dig through things and find something to latch onto as to why I'm a bad person, yeah, I make mistakes, but you're the one digging in the mud. I have been accused quite a lot of not telling the whole story and not divulging every single aspect of what anyone might think of me in any privileged or non-privileged situation. A lot of what I have been holding back is how much my attempts to be honest and stand up for myself have actually set me back. If you've subscribed and you're actually still here for this, I am surprised, but this is for people like you and to signal to people who are not really all that invested in why I'm here to it's fine. Do what you need to do to feel better about yourself. I am not perfect, but I am not a performer. The most I've stuck to a script is making sure that I can hit everything while not spinning off into the sunset. And for that, I have lost pretty nearly everyone I have ever loved. If you're still interested in what direction this channel is going, I am now allowing myself to show you anything I would like to show you. I am still interested in something that helps you out, something that you have questions about, but I cannot go into customer service, influencer, that mode of things, and all adjacent modes that people think don't exist, but they slip into when they're around people they want to like them. This channel is still updating every Friday because my schedule has changed quite a lot. So I do have a little bit more time with that, as well as, if you hadn't seen the last video, I found a button on this, so it actually freaking works now. Things are not totally changing. I am still reclaiming skills and arts that are routinely claimed by people who want the homesteading aesthetic, but they also don't want you to know that their stove was $50,000. I will be talking a lot more about what I have seen in the wild world of paganism and witchery. And I may not have exactly the length of scope that everyone does have, but I have a very unique perspective on things that go on in the corners and things that people don't really talk about in public. All video content is me until further notice. If I didn't scare away too many of you, I would love to have recommendations for artists that you really like that might want to do 5-10 minute interview. And I would send them something like this video so they know what they're getting into. All video content is me. All editing is me. So if you would like to support the direction that this is going, your subscription, you hitting the bell so you actually get notifications when things are happening, your views, your comments directly contributes to me doing this on a regular basis and giving you as much as I possibly can, while eventually being able to buy groceries. So send it to all of your weird little friends who, even a friend that might be offended by this, you have my permission. You can use my face to send this to them to make a point, or a huge part of this world glorifies the mentality of suffering enough to deserve a village. It's been clear over time, there are many who treat me like I am somehow holding back. Things are not really that bad when I say they are. That somehow all of these intersectional labels and communities means that I have a really fantastic concoction that I'm just not sharing with everybody as an excuse to not do things. This is part of me trying to actually take some action because I don't have the ability to throw money at something. I know I have missed some replies and some video replies. That is partially due to some things that have been going on for a very long time. But also, if you haven't seen my last video, this wasn't working for a very long time. And I was trying to ignore some of the issue because it was making me mad. And then one day, I found the button that turns on the volume. I want to make sure that I can live up to my word when I say I want to reply and I intend to reply. So until this channel gets potentially too big to reply to everything, if I sense that you're asking a question in good faith, that goes into the bucket. That will go into a video very soon. I don't know everything, and like I said, my horizon is not always like this, but it might be a little section that points in an uncommon way. The biggest difference between a lot of what I've seen and what I am trying to do here is that I am trying to, on purpose, talk about things that don't get talked about, or at least say, hey, I don't know, I'm not informed enough on that. But I know exactly what I have been subjected to for a very long time, and that I have been in denial, mainly because of a lot of it involving people that I have liked and loved. I am going to be working on what that means for the work that I do in private and the work that I do on here. And I am explicitly inviting you to come along with me on that. And if you're still here, thank you for being here. You are way more likely to be the kind of person that I do this for. So until next time, whatever comes up in my video schedule, do your part, support the dark arts, and subscribe to Piss Off Occultist.